What is it with Jeremy Corbyn that he's simply incapable of saying one word to even try to make the Jewish people of this country feel comforted?
Well, can I start that? First of all, I feel a tremendous sense of sorrow, and I want to say sorry for the hurt and the upset that the Jewish community are feeling because the Labour Party has been too slow in dealing with instances of anti-Semitism when we found it within our ranks. I think Jeremy Corbyn has in the past apologised, and if you Google that, you would find you know, articles where he has apologised to the Jewish community. But look, let's be clear, it's obvious that the Jewish community feels aggrieved, rightly so, upset, understandably so, and we in the Labour Party have to work harder to regain their trust and improve our procedures so that when we're faced with anti-Semitism amongst our members, and it's usually on sort of Facebook and things like that, that we deal with it promptly.
Well, but you've had no problem,
although the procedures have been strengthened.
Right, but you've had no trouble saying you're sorry on behalf of the party. Your leader 4 times was asked on the day the chief rabbi has come out and said he's unfit to be Prime Minister because of the way that Jewish people feel in this country. He was incapable of just saying, I'm sorry. What's wrong with him?
Well, I think he has apologised in the past.
So why couldn't he last night?
He is motivated. Well, I mean, he has. I think I'm not actually seeing it, but I've obviously seen the reports of it. But I would have thought it's because, you know, he's apologised in the past. But as I say, you know, I feel a great sense of sorrow, and I want to apologise. And it's right. Our procedures need to be strengthened further.
Jonathan Ashworth, you've now apologised more than once in this interview. He was given 4 opportunities to apologise. Did he make a mistake? Did your leader make a mistake last night by not saying sorry in one of the most crucial interviews he will do in this campaign at a critical time for the Jewish community?
Well, I think it's because he's apologised in the past, and you know, he probably feels that he's made an apology in the past, and that is on the record.
He didn't say that last night.
And he's also. And we have strengthened the procedures in the Labour Party, although they can always be strengthened further, obviously.
Was it a mistake for him not to apologise last night? Was it a mistake for him not to apologise?
Well, I mean, I've not seen the debate. I didn't see the interview, so I don't quite know what the cut and thrust of it was. But I know he's apologised in the past.
That was excruciating.
No apology and no explanation that he's apologised before, which is what you're saying is the justification for him apologising. Not apologising last night. I
mean, he has apologised before. He has apologised before, and he was also saying that, you know, he will stand up and support and ensure the security of every community, because anti-Semitism is rising in society. We see more and more attacks on synagogues and Jewish schools. That is absolutely unacceptable. It is foul. And we need to put the resources in place to ensure the security of the Jewish community, and to ensure the security of synagogues and other places of worship and schools.
Was it a mistake last night for Jeremy Corbyn not to give a clearer answer about what he would do in the circumstances that there's an ISIS leader, our forces could take that ISIS leader out, and Jeremy Corbyn said, well, you know, we'd respect international law, we'd try to arrest them, wouldn't give a clear answer on whether he would give the order to kill?
Well, I mean, these sort of hypotheticals are always tricky for politicians to respond to. I mean, we've had the debate on here, haven't we, Piers, about would you press the nuclear button or not? I mean, it's.
I don't think the point he's trying to make is that you try and stick. Well, you, by the way, never seem to find it difficult to answer. Right, whether it's apologising to the Jewish people for anti-Semitism in the party, or whether it's pressing nuclear buttons if we have to, you've always been able to answer. It's Jeremy Corbyn's chronic inability to give a straight answer to these things that worries people. He can't apologise to the Jewish people when he's asked 4 times. He can't say that if we cornered the leader of ISIS, he would give an order to kill the leader of ISIS. He couldn't give any straight answers about funding for various flagship policies of the party. I mean, for you and other members of the party like you, it must be utterly exasperating that you have a leader who seems incapable of leading.
Well, on the ISIS point, I think he's trying to make the argument that you should try and stick to international law, because it's better if these people are tried in international criminal courts, and in that way, justice is seen to be done. I think that's the point he's trying to make.
Quite hard to arrest someone who's wearing a suicide vest.
The reason Well, I know, but this is the problem, isn't it, in hypotheticals, because you've got to... the context in these things can always be very, very different.
Well,
Clearly, if someone is a threat to life...
It's actually not that difficult. We literally just saw a few weeks ago the leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi, cornered in a tunnel, wearing a suicide vest, and they killed him.
Yeah.
And what we really want from our leader in this country is a clear, unequivocal statement that in a similar situation with the new leader of ISIS, if we were in that position, would the order be given to our forces to eliminate that threat? And when leaders prevaricate over that, it's concerning.
Well, in that particular context, in that particular circumstance, then of course, you know, I would entirely agree with the action that was taken in that context. But there's been other brutal figures in the world who've been caught, and we've tried to put them on trial, haven't we? I mean, we caught Saddam, for example. I think he was hiding in a hole. Do you remember? And we tried to put him on trial and so on. So it depends. I think he's trying to make the point. It depends on the context. But yeah, of course, in that circumstance that you've just outlined, when it's a threat to life, you've got to put the security of the nation first.
Well, that's really what we wanted to hear from your leader last night, but he couldn't answer it in that way. Let's just end. Last night we got into a Twitter three-way, me, you and the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, over this extraordinary situation where their flagship NHS manifesto pledge of 50,000 more nurses appears to include 19,000 existing NHS nurses.
Well, Nicky Morgan confirmed that to us.
She confirmed
this week on Good Morning Britain and was torn apart for it.
She confirmed it, and then Matt Hancock said, no, there are going to be 50,000 more nurses. What do you make of this?
Well, I just think Matt Hancock is being deceitful, I'm afraid. I mean, the Tory party said when they launched the manifesto that 19,000 of these nurses would be just retaining nurses. These are nurses that are already working in the system. So if Matt Hancock ever asks you for 50 quid, Piers, you only need to give him 31 quid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolute nonsense.
I agree.
And by the way, when they say they're bringing back the bursary... When they say they're bringing back the bursary, they're not really, because nurses will still pay tuition fees. It's only the Labour Party that's actually going to bring back a training bursary, get rid of the tuition fees for nurses. That means we'll recruit 24,000 extra nurses, but we're also going to recruit extra health visitors and school nurses, and we're also going to do the international recruitment that our NHS needs. So the party who was actually offering 50,000 extra nurses is the Labour Party.
Final question, Mr Ashworth. Should the Labour Party get a drubbing in the election in 2 weeks' time, and no one knows how it's going to go, but should they get a drubbing and Jeremy Corbyn be forced to leave his position as leader, would you put yourself up as the next leader of the Labour Party?
We're not going to get a drubbing, but I'll be coming. But on December the 13th or the 14th, I'll be coming back on your show as the nation's Health Secretary. Well,
Mr Ashworth, the good thing about you is you always do come on, even when you have to defend the utterly indefensible.
And just before you go, I do just want to ask you, Mr Ashworth, you're fighting a campaign where every vote counts. Do you think last night's interview was a success?
Well, I mean, I hadn't seen it, and obviously we've talked about the difficult bits of the interview, but I would assume Jeremy Corbyn also got across the fact that we're going to be investing in the NHS to bring the waiting list down.
No,
we're going to be investing in childcare for working parents.
I think, Mr Ashworth, if you're telling the truth about the fact you haven't seen it, I suggest you go and watch it and see if you think that was a success. Well, the Labour Party last night.
I'll try to watch it, but I'm crisscrossing across the country at different events, which is why I'm here in this area today, not my usual place.
Though, isn't it? Isn't it pretty extraordinary that senior members of the party who are campaigning on the streets of this country
haven't watched their own leader's interview?
Feel they cannot find time for half an hour to watch their leader do a flagship BBC interview with Andrew Neil because they basically know it's going to be a total train wreck, which is exactly what happened.
Well, no, that's not. It's not because of that, Piers. It's just because literally we're in I was in 7 different places yesterday. The day before I was in, another 7 different places. Today I'm going to be in 7 or 8 different places.
It's multitasking, Mr.
Load it up on your phone and you can watch it on the train.
Yeah, why should we have to suffer it if you don't have to? Anyway, Jonathan Ashworth, we appreciate you coming on. Matt Hancock, having given it the big one on Twitter, then bottled it, and you never bottle it, and we appreciate it. Thank you.